Now everywhere what's heard is the drumbeats of happiness. It's festivals everywhere. Let the whole life be festivals. Welcome once again to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with the main points in a nutshell. Gaddafi Forces Renew Attacks on Rebels. Gaddafi Forces beat a BBC team. Revolts raise fear of migration in Europe. Tibet's exiled Dalai Lama to devolve political role. Yemen President Saleh announces parliamentary system. Wisconsin Republicans pass public sector union curbs. And now the news in detail. Gaddafi Forces renew attacks on rebels. With airstrikes, armor and artillery, military units loyal to Colonel Muammar al-Gaddafi hammered the rebels seeking his ouster in battles along the eastern Mediterranean coast and in the besieged western city of Zawiya on Tuesday, as new report documented how badly the insurgents logged the Gaddafi forces in equipment and capabilities. Gaddafi forces battered the rebel-held city of Zawiya for a fifth day. With landlines, cell phones and the internet down and journalists barred from the area, it was impossible to tell whose flag flew over the central square as darkness fell. Fighting was also reported in the rebel-held city of Misrata, Libya's third largest, about 100 miles east of Tripoli. The Libyan Air Force, dominated by members of Colonel Gaddafi's native tribe, renewed its strikes on rebel positions around the coastal oil city of Ras Lanuf. Rebels had taken control of the city days ago when they appeared to be moving briskly westward. On Tuesday, they were struggling to regroup after losses the night before, so they might be moved again toward Gaddafi's stronghold of Surf, West Ras Lanuf, or the road to Tripoli. Hoard of cash lets Gaddafi extend fight against rebels. The Libyan leader Colonel Muammar al-Gaddafi has tens of billions in cash secretly hidden away in Tripoli, allowing him to prolong his fight against rebel forces despite an international freeze on many of the Libyan government's assets, according to American and other intelligence officials. Colonel Gaddafi has control over the huge cash deposits which have been stored at the Libyan Central Bank and other banks around the Libyan capital in recent years, the officials said. Since the protests of fighting erupted, some of the money may have been moved into Colonel Gaddafi's Tripoli compound, Bab al-Azizia, according to one person with ties to Libyan government. While United States intelligence officials said they could not confirm such a move, one official said that Colonel Gaddafi likely has tens of billions of cash that can access inside Libya.
Don't understand the system here. No. Don't say I understand. You don't understand. And the world don't understand the system here. The biblical system here. The authority of the people. You don't understand it.
But how do the people show their authority then? Because some who've gone out onto the streets to protest say that your people have shot at them.
No demonstration at all in the streets. أنت شفت مظاهرات?
Did you see demonstrations? Yes, I have, yes.
Where?
I saw some today. I saw some in Zawiya yesterday. I saw demonstrations.
Are they supporting us?
No, they're not supporting
us. They
us.
are not against us.
Some were against you and some were for you.
No one against us. Against me for what? Because I am not president. But they love me, all my people with me. They love me all.
But if they do love
they will die to protect me, my people.
If you say they do love you, then why are they capturing Benghazi and they say they're against you there? Why are they?
It is a guide. It is a guide. It is guide, not my people. It is guide.
Al-Qaeda.
Guide. Yes.
Gaddafi forces beat up BBC team. Libyan leader Colonel Muhammad Gaddafi's security forces detained and beat up a BBC news team who were trying to reach the strife-torn western city of Zawiya. Members of the three-man team were beaten with fists, knees and rifles, hooded and subjected to mock executions by Libyan troops and secret police. The three were detained on Monday and held for 21 hours but have now flown out of Libya. Government forces are in a fierce fight to wrest Zawiya from rebel control. Artillery and tanks have pounded the city, which lies 50 kilometers from the capital Tripoli, over the past 4 days. The BBC said in a statement that it strongly condemned the abusive treatment of its journalists.
They were in agony, they were screaming.
I found in this cell around 10 to 12 prisoners. 2 of them Egyptians, all Arabians. The majority of them from Zawiya. I understand from other guys that they are fighters, or they accuse them that they are fighters against Muammar Gaddafi's army. 4 of them were in a very bad situation. Their torture appear on their faces and their bodies.
They've been tortured?
Yeah.
Revolts raised fear of migration in Europe. Until a few weeks ago, the immigrant transfer center of this tiny Mediterranean island, a kind of Italian Ellis Island, was empty. An extensive European campaign against migration from Africa was considered so effective that authorities basically shut it down. But since the Tunisian government collapsed in January, spurring unrest across North Africa, Lampedusa has been bustling. The Italian police tow in boats full of desperate immigrants, about 6,000 refugees in the past 2 months. Young men in hooded jackets smoke cigarettes and await transfer to the mainland, the prospect that is striking fear in many European hearts. The turmoil in Libya and elsewhere in the region has toppled or undermined North African dictators who negotiated a web of benefits from Europe, including aid and diplomatic standing in return for stopping immigrants seeking to cross the Mediterranean. Tibet's exiled Dalai Lama to devolve political role. Tibet's exiled spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, has announced a long-awaited plan to devolve in his political responsibilities to an elected figure. The Dalai Lama said he would begin the formal process of stepping down at a meeting of Tibetan parliament in exile next Monday. He said the move would be the long-term benefit of Tibetans. The announcement came in a speech by the Dalai Lama marking the anniversary of the 1959 Tibetan uprising. As early as the 1960s, I have repeatedly stressed that Tibetans need a leader elected freely by the Tibetan people to whom I can devolve power, he said at the Dharamshala, the Indian town that he has become his exile capital. Now we have clearly reached the time to put this into effect. He added that his decision was not made because he wanted to shirk responsibility or felt disheartened. He also called on China leaders to show greater transparency.
Changing mind only through compassion or education, not by force. We have to find ways and means to solve that through dialogue. In order to carry meaningful dialogue, first, it is necessary to respect the other who have different view. Consider part of we, part of humanity. My future also depends on them. So respect and listen their interest and tell them our interest and try to find mutually agreeable solution. That's the only way. Like a Palestine problem, both sides stand firm, then confrontation.
Yemen President Saleh announces parliamentary system. Yemeni President Ali Abdullah Saleh has announced plans to change the constitution to move to a parliamentary system. In a live televised address, he said a referendum would be held this year on measures including a new election law. The pledge comes after weeks of protest against 32-year-old rule have left about 30 people dead. But opposition groups said the move had come too late and that the demands of protesters were bigger than that. Protesters have dismissed his earlier promise not to seek re-election after his current term ends in 2013.
There is an operation room in Tel Aviv to destabilise the Arab world, and those opposition members are imitators and carrying out their plan. It is an operation room in Tel Aviv which is responsible, and behind that, the sponsorship of the White House and the USA. I'm going to charge the doctors and the students in the university with the starting of a dialogue with the youths who are protesting. We are ready to respond to their demands through a